Joe, very good to see you. I guess I just first want to get your reaction to what we heard from the Maine Secretary of State there.
Sumi, good to see you. With all due respect, the Secretary of State of Maine, it's breathtakingly arrogant for her to unilaterally decide that someone has committed insurrection. The 14th Amendment gives the power of what to describe what actually is insurrection to Congress. Congress has passed a criminal law called insurrection. A person can be charged with it. Donald Trump has not been charged with insurrection, much less convicted. So for a state official, without even a trial, to just unilaterally say, I think I know what insurrection is, and based on what I've seen, I think that person has committed it. Look, I give her credit for being honest, but there's no way this holds up under any judicial scrutiny.
But Joe, this is the second state now to decide this way, including Colorado. Now we saw Michigan and other states like Minnesota decide not to disqualify Trump. So why do you think we're seeing these decisions?
Well, we've had 9 states reach a decision, right? The first 7 went in favor of Donald Trump and said he's not disqualified under the disqualification language of the 14th Amendment. Now we've had 2, Colorado and Maine, that have gone in the other direction. Again, using a very novel interpretation of what they think insurrection is. Colorado, I'll give them credit. At least they had a trial. It was a civil trial, but it was 5 days, and you had a judge actually hear evidence. Maine, it wasn't even a trial. I mean, it was sort of a independent inquiry by the Secretary of State and some kind of hearing. So, look, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to trigger action by the U.S. Supreme Court, right? They want the Supreme Court to weigh in here. I have no doubt they will, and the Supreme Court will strike down these state decisions to bar Donald Trump. I think it's unfortunate, though, because this will create a political furor. In dragging the Supreme Court in an election year, there's going to be many people upset regardless of how the Supreme Court rules. So I think that's the unfortunate outcome here. These are very, very shaky legal decisions, I think designed only to inflame the atmosphere here, which is already pretty inflamed.
So just to follow up on that, Joe, what then happens next? You do see the Supreme Court taking this up in fairly rapid fashion?
But they have to. I mean, there's no way you can let 50 different states apply 50 different standards and come up with different interpretations of a U.S. federal constitutional amendment. The Supreme Court is obviously going to have to step in here and say, okay, this is what it means to engage in insurrection or rebellion under the 14th Amendment. This is what it takes to be disqualified. And now you can go ahead and make the decision of whether it applies or does not apply. Frankly, it's never been used before, so that's why so much time has gone by. But at this point, because now it's on the table, the Supreme Court will have to get involved.
Joe, really interesting to get your perspective on this story tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Sumi.